There's something inside me, I don't know what it is. What I see nobody else sees, and sometimes it frightens me. I think I'm losing my mind.
All your life you've been told how lucky you are to be creative. Parents and friends amazed at how you were able to unlock part of your brain so many others can't. And for years you embraced the praise. The joy you found in creating was like a personal sanctuary. It was a release for you. It was a taste of freedom. But if you're anything like me, you never even really understood what it means to be creative. You just knew it was a gift you'd been given and something you should be grateful for. Over time, I've begun to see the darker side of creativity. The side that leaves you deeply frustrated and unfulfilled from constant procrastination, doubts about the path you're on, and an ongoing feeling that your art isn't good enough. So I had enough. And I found out what it all meant. Creativity often seems like this abstract concept, something we know when we see or when we do, but not something that's tangible. It's the sense of something rather than a thing itself. But this actually isn't the case. For me, Andrew Huberman describes it best when he says,
creativity is a way of interacting with the world or combining or recombining things in the world in a way that appears novel to us and to other people. But it does so in a way that tells us something fundamental and different. And I must say that oftentimes the most creative and the most interesting and the most beloved creative acts reveal to us something fundamental about the world or the way that we work in a way that delights and thrills and surprises us, but that we aren't even aware what that fundamental rule is.
Creativity, neurologically speaking, boils down to two main things: divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Divergent thinking being the process of exploring multiple possibilities stemming from a single stimulus, so effectively brainstorming, which ultimately serves as a catalyst for creative ideas to flourish.
conversely,
Convergent thinking is the focused refinement of those ideas, honing them into actionable insights and solutions. While one sparks a creative flame, the other channels it into meaningful and tangible outcomes, completing a cycle of creative expression.
How's your mathematics? Not good enough for the physicist he wants to be. Algebra's like sheet music. The important thing isn't can you read music, it's can you hear it. Can you hear the music, Robert? Yes, I can.
a meta-analysis by Gregory Feist in 1998 found that creative people are often characterized by high levels of plasticity, higher openness, impulsiveness, and novelty seeking, and by low levels of stability traits, lower conscientiousness and agreeableness. This points to the likelihood that different combinations of plasticity and stability often correlate with people's levels of creativity, basically telling us that while creative people are more likely to embrace new experiences, they're probably not going to do their maths homework.
Bolotto frames the creative mind in an interesting way when he says, every behavior that we do to reduce uncertainty.
We do to increase certainty. And yet the irony is that that's the only place we can go if we're ever going to see differently. And that's why creativity, seeing differently, always begins in the same way. It begins with a question. It begins with not knowing. It begins with a why. It begins with a what if.
Creative individuals have always been at the forefront of driving innovation in human endeavours, from art that captures human beauty to philosophy shaping our beliefs, and from some of the most useful and important technological advancements like NFTs to major scientific breakthroughs like figuring out how to get the figs in the fig rolls. Creativity serves as a guiding force that not only organises the chaos of the world, but also provides it with meaning and structure. Now, I'm by no means saying that some guy making a YouTube video about creativity is at the cutting edge of humanity's advancements, but in many ways, these small creative acts building on one another is what's elevated us from primitive beings to the relatively advanced society we are today. So maybe I am. Some of history's most beloved figures have been elevated to this status by their willingness to share and develop their creative mind and abilities. And as a society, we deeply admire and even idealize the arts, with actors, musicians, and artists dominating the headlines and existing as the cultural trendsetters. It's safe to say that without creativity, society would stagnate and culture would cease. Picture yourself stranded in a forest, parched from days of dehydration. Finally, you stumble upon a stream, a beacon of hope in the wilderness. Overcome with joy, you kneel to drink, but as you take your first sip, the quenching of your thirst is followed by a sharp pain. You look upstream, questioning the source and purity of this water, but despite your uncertainty, the primal urge to quench your thirst persists. You bend down for more, unsure how your body will respond. In this moment, the choice between a slow dehydration and the risks become blurred, as survival instinct overrides logic, and in a desperate bid for sustenance, you drink again. In his book The War of Art, Steven Pressfield says, "The artist committing himself to his calling has volunteered for hell, whether he knows it or not. He will be dining for the duration on a diet of isolation, self-doubt, despair, ridicule, and contempt." The world we live in is one that simultaneously holds creatives in the highest regard as the ones who drive innovation and push the boundaries of what's possible, but at the same time ridicule and marginalise them for trying to create something truly unique and different. As Bo Lotto explained, the human mind is built on rejecting the new and embracing the comfort of familiarity. So, in order for creative ideas to flourish, they must not only push through the resistance of the mind of the creative, but also the resistance of society themselves, judging and often ridiculing the work. And even if these creative ideas are accepted, the odds of them finding commercial success are practically non-existent. Now, I don't consider myself to be a tortured artist. I've been fortunate enough to make a living doing ultimately creative and fulfilling work, but even when you do navigate this path successfully, the challenges only increase. Commercial work, by its very nature, must be commercially viable, and a company's interest isn't in you fulfilling your creative desires, despite what they might say about wanting to hire a team of creative disruptors. Whether you're a designer, photographer, musician, writer, or actor, the bottom line is often the bottom line. And when metrics are what determine if a project is a success or not, the fear of these results can often paralyze and stifle truly creative ideas from flourishing. The idea of playing it safe for the sake of self-preservation suddenly seems a lot more appealing. While all of this might seem like hyperbole, ask any creative person and they will tell you the ongoing mental battle they're faced with every time they want to begin a new creative endeavor. So it begs the question, why on earth would anyone subject themselves to this? The fact of the matter is, you have no choice. Like a celebrity starting a tequila brand, it's instinctual. And as creatives, our primal desire to do so simply can't be subdued. But even if it could, would you choose any differently? Would you sacrifice the joy in creating something that you feel so deeply connected with it brings purpose and meaning to your life? It opens up a world to an entire range of emotions and feelings others might not ever fully experience. Would you really close yourself off to those possibilities just to feel a little bit more comfort in your daily life? In The War of Art, Steven Pressfield goes on to say, "Are you paralyzed with fear? That's a good sign. Fear is good. Like self-doubt, fear is an indicator. Fear tells us what we have to do. Remember one rule of thumb. The more scared we are of a work or calling, the more sure we can be that we have to do it."
If you want to live in a creative way, which will benefit everything in your life, be a better person in your family. If you're starting a new business, do a better job of starting a new business. It's all the same. You know, I don't really know anything about music. It's more a way of looking at the world and wanting it to be the best it could possibly be and doing whatever it takes to be the best it could possibly be and being true to knowing that no one else knows. You know, I'm not saying I know, but that everyone's idea is as valuable as mine. You know, we're all creators.
Ultimately, you just have to create, even if you believe it's just for its own sake. Don't play to the crowd and be guided by fear. Fortune, attention, and applause don't matter. The value in you fulfilling your creative calling is more powerful and impactful than anything else. So drink the water, no matter how much it hurts. The pain is temporary, and what you thought was poison will ultimately save you.
He was hit by a truck, and you were lying out in that gutter dying, and you had time to sing one song. Huh? One song people would remember before your dirt. One song that would let God know what you felt about your time here on earth. One song that would sum you up. You telling me that's the song you'd sing? That same Jimmy Davis tune we hear on the radio all day about your peace within and how it's real and how you're gonna shout it? Or would you sing something different? Something real, something you felt? Because I'm telling you right now, that's the kind of song people want to hear. That's the kind of song that truly saves people.